This evening, Guyana's oil output growth for 2022 predicted to outperform prior years. Two money changers robbed on Water Street. Works progressing in the new Cummings large housing development in the region. Argentina court sentences VP KIRCHNER to 6 years in prison. And internationally, Indonesia passes new criminal code, outlaws sex outside marriage. Welcome to another broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Updates. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Guyana's oil economy growth for 2022 is predicted to outpace its previous years since it becoming an oil production nation. ExxonMobil produced 79 million barrels of crude oil, exceeding the total production of 2020 and 2021 combined. This boost in production capacity is due to the Liza Unity FPSO producing its first oil and the optimization of the Liza Destiny, which has tripled Guyana's oil economy. Guyana is forecasted to likely surpass 100 million barrels this year, with an average of 11.1 million barrels produced every month since the second half of 2022. Further away, the country's exports are predicted to expand every year until 2027, thanks to ExxonMobil's continual ramp-up of the Stabroek Block. 6 FPSOs are planned for oil production by 2027, with the possibility of increasing to 10 by the end of the decade. Yesterday, 2 money changers were robbed at gunpoint, with one being shot in the midst of a crowd of Christmas shoppers. Dale Jarvis has more details.
Detectives are investigating a daring daylight robbery under arms committed on 2 money changers at Water Street, Georgetown on Monday, December 5, 2022. The 2 men were allegedly robbed of an undisclosed sum of local and foreign currency by 2 masked male suspects, one of whom was armed with a gun. Inquiries revealed that a little before 2 p.m., the 2 victims, a 66-year-old from Vincent Road, Georgetown, and a 41-year-old of Sophia, who usually ply their daily trade of currency conversion on Water Street, were both confronted by the 2 suspects. During the confrontation, the suspect, who was armed with a firearm, relieved one of the victims of his money, while attempting to rob the other victim, who pulled out a knife from the waist of his pants to defend himself. During the confrontation, the suspect, who was armed with a firearm, relieved one of the victims of his money. While attempting to rob the other victim, who pulled out a knife from the waist of his pants to defend himself, the armed suspect discharged a round from the firearm, which hit the second victim on his right lower forearm and his right side abdomen. After relieving the shot victim of the cash, the suspect escaped on a motorcycle parked nearby along Water Street. The shot victim was picked up and taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, where he is presently receiving treatment and is in a stable condition. A .32 spent shell was recovered from the scene. Investigations are ongoing. Reporting for Headline News Update, Dale Jarvis.
Thanks, Dale. The Guyana Police Force is on the hunt for 2 carpenters for the attempted murder of 27-year-old Kemraj Ramcharan, a pump attendant of Windsor Castle, Essequibo Coast. Police are looking for 25-year-old Ron Cumbermack of Herineta, Essequibo Coast, and her Stelling C. Dam, and 19-year-old Junior Cifrino of Leopold Street, Georgetown, and Henrietta, Essequibo Coast. Ramcharan is a pump attendant that works the night shift at the Reef gas station in Henrietta. On Sunday, around 9 p.m., Ramcharan was on duty when a white car with unknown occupants came to the gas station. One of the occupants of the motor car and the pump attendant argued over opening the gas tank of the car. The driver of the car sped away and returned about 45 minutes later. The 2 males, armed with a piece of wood and a cutlass, exited the car and dealt Ramcharan several lashes and chops to his head and about his body, causing him to receive injuries. He collapsed, after which the 2 men made good their escape. The man was picked up in a conscious state and taken to the Saudi Public Hospital, where he was seen and examined by a doctor and admitted. His condition is regarded as serious. Checks made for the car and the occupants proved futile. However, investigations are in progress. Stick around after the break. Works progressing in the new Cummings Lodge housing development, and Region 5 students are related about CAPE program launch.
Last year, we couldn't celebrate Christmas as we wanted to, so for this year, we had everything planned. 100,000 watts of lights, 10 feet tall tree, the best table ever, custom t-shirts, live shows, DJ. And we also had Uncle Mario, who forgot the KFC buckets in the car with the keys inside.
Step back!
This Christmas is to be enjoyed no matter what. Let's savor this Christmas.
Shop at John Lewis Styles in December, and you could win one Amazon Echo Show every day. Yes, every day. And that's not all. 4 persons will win $500,000 to spend in the store. Just imagine $500,000 to spend on clothing, footwear, watches, fragrances, handbags, luggage, and accessories. So shop now at John Lewis Styles to win one Amazon Echo Show every day and $500,000 to spend in the store. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
Give your home or office some shine. Fortune Investment Company. We provide reliable commercial and residential professional cleaning services in Guyana. We clean homes and commercial offices. Other services offered are floor care and tile polishing, interior auto detailing services, power washing, weeding and cleaning, and carpet, couch, and mattress cleaning. We are committed to keeping your homes and offices squeaky clean. Call us now at 592-689-7558 or 592-639-6365 or visit us at 3430 Jackson North Rumville, Georgetown, Guyana. Fortune Investment Company. When we say clean, we mean spotless.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Massive infrastructure works are ongoing in the new Cummings Lodge housing development, which starts from Sophia, Greater Georgetown, and ends in the vicinity of Eccles on the east bank of the Marara. During a visit to the area on Tuesday, Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell said some $1.4 billion is being invested in developing the area. Works being undertaken include land clearing and the creation of road networks such as the Aubrey-Barker Road access. Minister Crowell noted that with the initial phase of works completed, several persons who were allocated house lots in the area would begin to access their land from next week.
Initially, we were concentrating on the further closer to Sophia, and that is where we constructed the houses. The next development that happened was there were allocations that were done many years ago, and no infrastructure work was done in the last government tenure. And so immediately when we came back into office, we sought to ensure that we made resources available for the back here to do a number of infrastructure work.
The Cummings Lodge development will also unlock a commercial and medical zone at the southern end of the scheme. An area is also being cleared to commence the construction of a massive water treatment plant. Notably, the access road at the southern end will interconnect with the East Bank East Coast Road being constructed through the Ministry of Public Works.
You have the ongoing from Ogle to Eccles in the first phase, and so that is for the East Coast bypass. The first intermittent point will be for the Eccles Industrial Road that will meet at that point. So it will run therefore through our scheme, and as in this case, left and right will be for the medical zone. And so you've seen the distance we've covered, and now one can grasp of the level of infrastructure work that is taking place in terms. First, we had land clearance. Behind me now, you see the land is cleared. So they have to do the infrastructure work for the drainage and to develop the parcels of the land. where we were able to drive. You see the loom is already on the road. So the excavators can pass and our vehicles can come in here to work.
Minister Kroll also visited the area where the government is constructing several elevated and flat housing units. While several persons have begun to occupy their homes, the ministry is working to complete the remaining homes earmarked for that scheme. Minister Kroll explained that there were some issues with some contractors who were lagging with regards to completing some units. Some of those contractors were terminated and mechanisms are in place to ensure the units are completed promptly. However, he said the construction of the additional 84 flat 3-bedroom units recently awarded is moving ahead smoothly. The Cummings large housing development is part of the government's national housing program, which involves the creation of sustainable schemes. A gold miner is dead and his brother is fighting for his life after they were attacked and chopped at the Aurora mining area in Region 7 during the early hours of this morning. Dead is 32-year-old Raphael Cadogan of Linden, Region 10. The injured younger brother has been identified as Clive Cadogan, also of Linden. Inquiries disclosed that the chopping incident may have stemmed from an argument during a football match on Monday. Reports said that the younger brother Clive and the suspect had gotten into an argument. The suspect got physical, prompting the older brother Raphael to intervene. Raphael told the suspect that he should cease hitting his brother, and an argument erupted between the two. The men subsequently left and returned to their camps. The suspect allegedly attacked the brothers while they were asleep and severely chopped them early this morning. The matter is presently under police investigation. The Ministry of Education officially launched the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination Program on Tuesday at the Rossignol Secondary School. The move is part of the government's effort to provide equitable access to education across Guyana. It also means that students will no longer have to travel to Region 6 or Georgetown to pursue these studies. Minister of Education Priya Manikchand, during her remarks, explained that this move ensures every child across Guyana has access to education.
We have a burning duty in the education sector, and it's urgent. It can be delayed and it can be put off. We have to make sure we prepare each and every child, regardless of color, religion, geographic location, gender, income bracket, from the homes they come, to be able to actively participate in this thriving Guyana we're going to build out.
In 2 years, the government, through the Education Ministry, has launched the CAPE program at Anna-Regina, West Demerara, and Rossignol Secondary School. CAPE classes commenced at the school on October 3, 2022, with 6 students currently enrolled. The students expressed gratitude and excitement for the launch of the program. Don't go away after the break. Hundreds of Kenyan animals die in severe drought, and Indonesia passes new criminal code. Outlaws sex outside marriage.
Maison Francois is the chocolate paradise of Guyana. From the moment you enter our stores, you're welcomed by the sweet aroma of Belgian chocolate, pastries, and other artisanal treats handmade by our European-trained chef. However, Maison Francois is more than just chocolate. We serve lunch, dinner, afternoon tea, and even Sunday morning mimosa brunch. Our convenient location at 133 Thomas Street, Kitty, makes it the perfect place to take that special someone or to take home a little sweetness. Treat yourself with the taste of Paris in the heart of Georgetown. Only at Maison Francois.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
Shop at John Lewis Styles in December, and you could win one Amazon Echo Show every day. Yes, every day. And that's not all. 4 persons will win $500,000 to spend in the store. Just imagine $500,000 to spend on clothing, footwear, watches, fragrances, handbags, luggage, and accessories. So shop now at John Lewis Styles to win one Amazon Echo Show every day and $500,000 to spend in the store. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Vice President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, one of Argentina's most powerful politicians, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. She has been found guilty of corruption in a $1 billion fraud case linked to public contracts, Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
These are supporters of Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, who came to the federal court building in Buenos Aires to protest against Argentina's judiciary. Kirchner was sentenced to 6 years in prison and given a lifetime ban on holding public office after being found guilty of corruption. It's the first time an Argentinian vice president has been convicted of a crime whilst in office. Luis Delia says Kirchner is a victim of political persecution.
What they want to do is get her out of politics, in a good way or a bad way. They failed to kill her, and now they have this option.
3 months ago, Kirchner was the target of an assassination attempt when a man pulled the trigger of his handgun inches from her face as she greeted supporters. The gun failed to fire. On Tuesday, a panel of 3 judges found Kirchner guilty of aggravated fraud.
Cristina Elizabeth Fernandez de Kirchner is sentenced to 6 years imprisonment, life disqualification from holding public office, legal accessories, and the cost of the proceedings because she is criminally responsible for the offense of fraudulent administration to the detriment of the public.
Kirchner is accused of directing millions of dollars of public works contracts to a family friend. Prosecutors say they have found dozens of irregularities in public works contracts in the province of Santa Cruz, where the Kirchner family originally comes from. The former president denies all charges, accusing the tribunal in charge of a political witch hunt and serving the interests of the opposition.
This is much simpler. It's not lawfare. It's not a judiciary party. It's not a parallel state and mafia. It's a judicial mafia.
Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner was Argentina's president for 8 years, between 2007 and 2015. She's now this country's vice president. She's a divisive figure in this country. While there are many who continue to support her, there are many others who would like to see her in prison.
Kirchner is expected to appeal against the court's decision. Despite her conviction, she has congressional immunity and is unlikely to head to jail anytime soon. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
Internationally, East Africa's worst drought in 40 years has killed more than 200 elephants and other creatures in Kenya in 8 months of this year, Al Jazeera's Catherine Soy reports.
Most of the skulls and bones found in this museum in the Tsavo National Park were collected nearly 6 decades ago. That's when a drought killed thousands of elephants. Scientists informally call the museum the elephant graveyard. Frederick Lala has been collecting such remains for years for research. He says elephants and other herbivores are again finding it increasingly difficult to get food and water. The government says more than 200 elephants and other game have died this year.
We understand that land is shrinking. Some of the dispersal areas that elephants used to go to during the dry seasons or during the droughts, most of them are now being occupied by people.
The rainy season usually starts in Kenya around this time, and although some areas are receiving rainfall, in Tsavo and others it's been sporadic.
You don't have to go very far to find carcasses in this park. Most of the animals that have died are grazers and browsers. Park officials that we've spoken to say that they are trying to do the best they can. They say this is a devastating season.
Large animals are walking farther in search of water and forage. Their space is shrinking as human populations are growing.
The situation has not been very good because we've even seen most of our rivers drying up aggressively. We've seen most of our areas remaining bare land, and that is a serious effect because now there's very limited forage for both wildlife and even the livestock.
Those working in the park say this isn't the worst drought they've seen in recent years, but the fact they're happening more frequently is worrying.
Getting water into some of the vast areas of the park has been an issue. Issues of the erraticness of the rainfall. We have water ponds within the park, but most of them are not able to sustain wildlife over a longer period of time. There's also the issue of siltation of some of the rivers.
Rangers are tasked with collecting carcasses, particularly those of elephants. They remove the tusks to prevent poachers taking them, but they say poaching is less of a threat to the animals than climate change. Catherine Soy at the Tsavo National Park.
And finally, Indonesia has passed a controversial new criminal code that includes outlawing sex outside marriage and cohabitation in changes that critics contend could undermine freedom in the Southeastern Asian nation. Al Jazeera's Stephanie Dacker reports.
You could now spend a year in an Indonesian jail if you're caught having sex outside of marriage. It's part of a new criminal code approved by Parliament on Tuesday. It also bans couples from living together before marriage.
We've done our best to accommodate all inputs and concerns, but in the end, we have to take a decision. A historical decision to leave the Dutch colonial criminal law behind.
The law includes a ban on insulting the president and speaking out against state ideology, and applies to both Indonesians and foreigners. Human rights groups say the legislation suffocates political and religious freedoms.
The new criminal code will create an atmosphere of fear, an atmosphere of one spying against another, neighbor spying neighbors, family members spying another family member. It will create an atmosphere of fear among many journalists, editors, producers, broadcasters, and of course, media owners. It is no good for the quality of journalism, the quality of democracy in Indonesia.
The previous draft of the code was postponed in 2019 after countrywide protests prompted then-President Joko Widodo to intervene. Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim nation and has seen a rise in religious conservatism in recent years. Although the laws will not come into effect for 3 years, there are concerns about their impact on Indonesia as an investment and a holiday destination, especially on islands such as Bali, which millions of tourists visit every year. Stephanie Decker, Al Jazeera.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2's Headline News Update. Tune in on Thursday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.